we're all going through a period of uncertainty in advertising. That's no shock to anybody. We entered 2020 with strong momentum. I think everyone in the marketplace did. And we entered 2020 with some expectations that political would be strong, sports was rebounding. There was this plethora of this explosion of connected devices and new viewing platforms, and soon to be an explosion of content. So 2020 started off, I think, for everyone in the marketplace with a bang. And unfortunately, with the COVID-19 pandemic, many things changed. One of the things that I think I'd characterize three things for us that's changed. First and foremost is, not shockingly, it's just a level of uncertainty of consumer behavior and consumer purchasing. And that uncertainty has led a number of folks to pull back on advertising and advertising spend. Some industries hit harder than others. Again, this is nothing new, but I think it grows to the point of, in an uncertain time, plans that you had coming into the year need to be changed. So it's that uncertainty led to the second thing that we found to be true across the board, and that is flexibility. Much of what has been required as a result of this pandemic has been changes. Change is always constant, but nothing has ever prepared the industry for this level of change. And a lot of our business, and I think our partners' businesses, are driven around using data and using data to optimize for future performance and future expected outcomes. Unfortunately, a lot of the data that we use, historical data, has kind of been thrown out the window when you see massive changes in the marketplace. So I think that's the second key thing that we've seen is the need for flexibility. And the third one is, I think, a kind of a retrenchment into what works. People feel comfortable and have reverted, I think, in this marketplace to tried and true practices, whether it's TV advertising or just standard old capabilities of how do you reach and message your consumer. And that tried and true response, I think, has also led to a new change, which is the need for advertisers to communicate directly to their audiences. This notion of purpose-built advertising. And I think those are those three things are what we've seen for the most in the marketplace.
And Nick, tell us a little about you guys. I know you did the recent acquisition of 4Info. You're becoming a data play in your own right. What does that mean, and how is Cadent's footprint or scope of your work evolving, and where are you guys going to be heading? I know there's some uncertainty now, but what's the roadmap?
I think, so our acquisition of 4Info was really driven by the core strategy of Cadent overall, which has been, we've always believed, 19 and 20, there's going to be a continued fragmentation of audiences across platform. So we're a TV first company and have always focused on following TV content across any screen, any device, any platform, or really any supplier. And our acquisition of 4Info did two things for us. One, it strengthened our presence in cross-channel advertising, especially around OTT and connected TV. The other thing that it did, it strengthened our use of data and first-party data and the ability to build a graph to map those audiences across that fragmented supply. And I think in this world, certainly in what we're experiencing today, and if you look at the consumption behavior that's occurred as a result of COVID-19, audiences are fragmenting even more so than they ever have. So the inclusion of a proprietary graph to map video viewing to households, coupled with our ability to reach OTT and connected TV platforms, so it's hard to reach audiences, has really been a significant success and boon for Cadent as we try to provide valuable solutions for advertisers.
So how does that work, that creating the graph and different data sources? Not to go through too much of it, but explain a little bit why that works and why it matters.
Sure. I think, you know, in a market of today, audience is first, data is first. The use of first-party data and third-party data, just generally, it starts with the audience. So if you simplify how we view the marketplace, you start with an audience, you map your audiences to devices and platforms, you map the audiences, devices, and platforms to supply. And Cadent's business model is to be an open architected system to basically map those audiences across any N number of data partners. We have best of breed partners like TransUnion and others that we work with. We map that audience and that data to a suite of technology and solutions to devices. And then we essentially aggregate that audience with our supply partnerships. And those three things allow us to be a national solution for TV across cable and broadcast, OTT, connected TV, or really any kind of AVOD or advanced TV advertising platform.
And finally, Nick, we all want to sort of see past this thing whenever we can, and however long it takes, none of us really know. But as you look at our industry and look at the sort of advanced TV world, does the COVID situation keep things in place? Does it move things forward?
Yeah.
Where do you think we might be in 6 months as an industry?
It's a great question, Andy. You know, I think the market is, we all know we're going into a level of uncertainty, and what used to work might not work in the next 6 months. But I think there are some truisms, and some truisms for us that we feel good about is we know that video viewing, TV viewing across platforms is an absolute. We know it has grown, and consumption of that has been realized through all the different data and metrics we're seeing across the marketplace. But the need to reach consumers across those platforms is an absolute. So we believe that cross-channel, commingled, unified strategy is fundamental to the success of us coming out of this marketplace. People have shifted paradigms of viewing, and the need to reach those hard-to-reach audiences, I think, is going to be even more challenging. So that's one absolute, we believe. And it doesn't matter if you are an auto manufacturer, an auto dealer trying to reach a consumer in this new paradigm, or if you're a CPG or insurance, you need to basically use audience and data to create purpose-built campaigns to reach these consumers across those proliferating platforms. I think the second thing is, and I mentioned this earlier, is you need, at least from our perspective, I think the marketplace has to be more flexible. So whether that's changing upfront dynamics to allow for rolling upfronts, or flexibility in terms of purchasing and the ability to react quickly to purchasing behavior or consumer behavior in terms of your media strategy, is fundamental. So that, I think, platform proliferation and the need to move faster through speed, through automation and platforms, is going to be, I think, some of the core tenets. And the last thing is, I think scale matters. I think many exploratory capabilities in the advertising market will probably be challenged. I think folks in the advertising community need to go back to what works, which is valuable, creative, purpose-built advertising, and showing that the ads actually deliver some sort of response, outcome-based. And I think the trial and error of some new platforms, I think, will be pushed back into maybe 2021 or perhaps beyond. But I think it's, we're all in this together. Rising tide lifts all boats, and I think everyone's ready for a rising tide.